Good evening again. I hope you all enjoyed your entree, and the band's doing a great job at the back there, so please get up and boogie away. I'd like you to welcome now Jamie and Searle, Ross's brother, and Karina Carmen. They're going to speak Toast to the Bride and Groom. Karina will go first, and we'll hand over to Jamie.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really touched to be a part of this special day for Georgia and Ross. As you've been given a chance to say a few words about the happy couple, Mr. and Mrs. Searle, you mean so much to everyone here tonight. I first would like to give a little insight into the progression of the romance that has led to their marriage today. Can you hear me at the back of the room? I'm sorry. Hold it straight out. Okay. I first met Ross at George's birthday in 2005. We were at the Windsor Castle Hotel in Melbourne. After having met George the night before at the cricket, Ross wasn't going to miss the opportunity for a second meeting. Quite late in the night, Paula, Georgia and I were having some sisterly conversation around the table in a corner, but Ross managed to squeeze his way in between us and my first impression of Ross is that he's a very determined and persistent man, as I couldn't work out how he managed to manoeuvre his way between us or to get in a single word amongst the three farmers. As subtle as Ross thought he might have been, the hand on the neck did not go unnoticed. This sparked interrogation though, but Ross handled the situation beautifully with the approach of less is more as far as conversation was concerned. Ross did a good job as both the sisters gave him the initial tick of approval, and it was sealed with a kiss between the couple later that night. A few months down the track, Ross and Georgia had what might actually have been their first real date. The distance between them from Victoria to Queensland didn't really pose the opportunity for a casual coffee, so they chose a romantic week in Fraser Island instead. This certainly seemed to cement their future, and basically, Georgia came back from her holiday declaring to me that she'd never felt this way about anyone before, and she just felt right, and they were so comfortable with one another, and she thought this might be it. And following winter often wasn't easy for Georgia and Ross, as they quickly fell in love. Car trips shared between Georgia and I from Melbourne and Mill and back seemed to consist of many a ding-dong, as Georgia would receive numerous text messages from Ross and Bundy. Back and forth the messages would go, never short of wit and cheeky antics. We fast learned that the Searles certainly know how to have a joke, keeping life light-hearted and making the most of every opportunity to have a laugh. As things became more serious between the two nerds, as they so dearly like to call each other, the interstate trips became more consistent. The general rule between the couple was that they weren't to go longer than 3 weeks between visits. Ross seems to be particularly good at enforcing this rule and couldn't survive any longer without his new love. My catch-ups with Georgia during this time would usually consist of a trip to Tullamarine Airport or back again, and I hadn't seen my sister blowing this much before. In March 2006, about a year on from the initial Fraser trip, Georgia was working her last Grand Prix event in Melbourne, and some of the lucky ones amongst us, Roscoe, Richard and I, scored free Sunday tickets. Ross turned up feeling a little sorry for himself after a night in town, but pulled very nicely with the help of a free beer or 10. Ross and I shared a few heartfelt conversations late in the day, and one of the most memorable involved a discussion about the possibility of Ross proposing to Georgia. There were many questions posed about the best time, the best place, and of course, the ring. It became apparent that Roscoe is a perceptive man, as he acknowledged to me very tactfully, Georgia is someone who knows what she likes. So it may not be the best idea for him to choose the ring. brother-in-law. I had some good brother-in-law bonding times that day. Eventually came the time for one of the pair to make the big move. Georgia was keen to give life in Queensland a try, so she moved in with Ross and Mossy in Queensland in the middle of 2006. Balancing her new job, her master's in marketing, and the challenges of an unfamiliar city wasn't always easy, but being there with Ross and his family made it worthwhile. Georgia's family and friends in Victoria missed her very much and still do, but are so very happy that she has found her lifelong partner and his wonderful family. Georgia and Ross bought their little house in Stafford around the corner from Joan early in 2007. A few months later, Ross proposed. Ross is very close to his family and knows that Georgia is too, so decided to wait until Mum and Dad came for a visit until he popped the question. But I don't think Ross realised how tricky the process would be. He had to hastily ask Dad's permission whilst Rhonda and Georgia ducked to the clothesline one afternoon. A day or two later, the group headed off for a picnic, with Georgia very vocal and dubious about the contents of the questionable champagne-laden bag, and later refusing to get out of the car to test the wind force near the planned proposal site. The group eventually settled, and Brian and Rhonda had the heads up on the need to create an opportunity for Ross to propose. But coordinating who should go for a walk and with who at the right time proved to be a bit of a challenge. Eventually, Georgia agreed to stay put with Ross while Mum and Dad went for a little stroll. As soon as Georgia put a sucker in her mouth, Ross fell to one knee and popped the question. Much jumping around, champagne and smiles followed, and here we are, still celebrating today. Ross has shared many a family function with us by now, and it's pretty good value, I must say. He enjoys a wine and a game of Trivial Pursuit around the farmer's family table in an attempt to maintain his big nerd status. And needless to say, we love having him around. We love Ross and Georgia and are so very thrilled that Ross will be officially part of the farmer's family now, and they will be spending the rest of their lives together. Georgia, you're all Georgia, you're a wonderful, intelligent, beautiful girl. And a very loyal, honest and special sister to Paula, Simon and myself. Ross, you're a to our hearts, and we look forward to many more significant special times to get together. And knowing that you'll look after Georgia every way possible. I'm now going to go to Damo to put a little more dirt on Ross and to propose a present.